I'm I'm just a regular guy who likes to fish and maybe took it a little too far to the next level.
I've always wondered, who the hell is behind these baits?
One day I was cutting firewood and I cut the center out of a cedar tree. I miss swimbait fishing. I'm gonna carve this into a fish and go try to catch one. Carved up a bluegill shape out of it. I used the picture frame. I found a picture frame kit in our basement in our garage that had the eye hooks. Made this, cobbled together a horrible looking bluegill. And I went out to the farm pond and caught a fish on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it just clicked.
This is Fishing for a Living with KGB Swimbaits.
Kevin, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, no problem.
So, folks, if you want to be a swim bait maker, I've got the right guy for you. It's Kevin Brightwell, KGB Swimbaits. Yep. Give me a quick introduction. Who are you, man?
I'm just a regular guy who likes to fish and maybe took it a little too far to the next level.
You took it a bit seriously, huh?
Yeah, I took it a little bit serious.
Yeah. So let's dive right into it.
Yeah.
You are originally from California, correct? Or at least
sort of,
lived
yeah.
in California?
So originally from Arkansas, but lived out in California. Went to high school out in California. Started and finished high school. Did a little bit of college in California, but that was whenever I was, I don't want to encourage anybody, but ditching school to go fish.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's where I really took a deep root into fishing, and I grew up fishing, obsessed with it, but out there it just kind of went to a different level.
Yeah, I think location base is definitely an important piece of starting fishing. Like if you live in the middle of nowhere and it takes you 2 hours to get your closest body of water,
right?
You might not be a fisherman because it's a pain in the ass.
Well, it's kind of a mixed blend for me because I grew up having farm ponds, and I'd go to 4 or 5 different farm ponds in an afternoon.
Okay.
When I went out to California, it was an hour trip to get to the nearest lake, but that was the only thing that was one of the only things that felt like home was out there fishing. So I really kind of attached to that.
And whereabouts in California were you?
Of Angeles. Like
dead center LA.
Pretty much. I was in LA. Yeah, I was on the northeast side of LA. So kind of by where Six Flags was in that area.
And what lakes do you have out there? Because I know I've read a couple of books, swimbait books, where they say that is the mecca of where swim baiting started.
Right. Kayak was my home lake. I mean, that was the closest one, and that's where I spent almost all of my time fishing was either on Kayak, a few little city lakes, or out in the ocean.
Is Kayak like OG? Is that where swim baiting originated?
It's where swim baiting got, I would say, dialed. It originated in other parts of California. It kind of transferred from people saltwater fishing and stuff like that to chasing striper. And then that got into, people were originally trying to catch striper on big swim baits in freshwater.
Sure.
California Delta, some of the lakes in central and northern California. But I feel like Kayak in that area is where it got specialized and dialed.
Yeah.
Other lakes too, but that was definitely one of them that was a big player.
And I think there's probably good reason. Is there trout in Kayak?
It used to be.
So there used to be.
Yeah, they would stock. And when they did stockings, like programs are trying to imitate what they did out in California.
Yep.
But they're not doing it the same. California, it would be a very scheduled basis. Every week or every 2 weeks at a certain time, the trout truck would show up. And they almost had those bass like trained. They hear the trout truck rolling out. I mean, you could have 200-300 boats launched that day, but that trout truck rolls up and it had a different sound, different vibration, whatever it was.
They leave.
Those bass start coming to the launch ramp, and they had those fish trained, ready to eat.
So I lived in Northern California for a while in San Francisco, and my closest swimbait lake was in Oakland. You probably know the name of it, and I'm blanking on it now. Shit, starts with a C.
Casitas?
Not Casitas. I'll have to come back to it because I can't remember the name of it. But I've seen that happen IRL, like in real life, where the trout truck comes and people just flood the trout truck, and all of a sudden you're just seeing explosions come out of the water.
Yeah.
And it's just bass, giant bass.
They've got them trained. I mean, those bass are trained to come in and feed. That's the easiest. That's like the food truck rolling up at a job site,
So you started pond fishing. You started expanding your experience when you were in California. You said you saltwater fish too. What kind of saltwater fish were you chasing?
Kayak fishing. We'd go every once in a while. We would get family would get together and we'd go on cattle boat is what they call it. You know, just it's $60 a person, and they'll take you out for a 3/4 day trip and go catch some good fish. And but then got into kayak fishing on my own. My brother had moved back to Arkansas, and we'll wait for this airplane to. Yeah, we paused because we had an airplane, and so we'll continue. Yeah, my brother had moved back to Arkansas, and I was, my senior year of high school, I went and got a kayak and started kayak fishing and all that stuff. I was, kind of didn't have anybody to really fish with anymore, so it kind of started doing my own thing, going kayaking out in the ocean, and kind of got spooked a couple times. There's some, there's some great whites out there, and we definitely saw some makos and stuff like that too. But backed off of the ocean after that experience, or a couple of those experiences, and started spending just more time at the lake.
Nice. And you're saying that Castaic was that was your haunt?
Yeah, that was Castaic Lagoon, and it was at a really good time. The timing, if I was born a couple years earlier or later, I don't know if it all would have played out like this, because I graduated in 06, and that was like, it wasn't the peak of swimbaiting. I feel like the peak was probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. I got the tail end of what we would call the peak, where it was still good. Not everybody was doing it. It was becoming popular. And there's kind of a full circle thing with how I ended up with Spro. That's the same. I think it was the same year that the Spro BBZ came out, was 05, 06, somewhere in there. I remember I worked at a sporting goods store and remember stocking them on the shelves.
And those are the boot tails.
No, that was the 3-piece bait, the Bill Siementail Spro BBZ.
Okay. And when you're saying early 2000s was the mecca, or really when it took off, are we talking soft, hard, glide, 3-piece?
Just glides weren't really heavily popular at all then. It was soft baits and 3 multi-jointed baits.
Yeah, like that we were talking earlier before we got on. My first swim bait that I bought was a HUD, a 68 special, or do you call that like a hidden hook, basically?
Weedless.
Weedless, yeah.
They were making that was the new thing. People started taking their 8-inch tail and putting it on a 6-inch bait so it would have more thump. And HUD saw enough people doing that, said, okay, we'll just make one. Then called it the 68.
That makes a hell of a lot of sense.
6-inch bait with an 8-inch tail.
No shit.
Yeah, because it's a bigger tail.
And that thing was easy to throw for me. I was new to swim baiting. That was probably 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, my swim baiting history is super short. You'll never hear me say I'm an expert swim baiter, because my first good experience was only February of last year.
Oh, okay.
So I bought an ABS bait just because I hadn't known like resin baits are obviously that good.
Yeah.
And spending a little more money is going to get you a bait that's not going to break as often, is going to be more durable, is going to be probably going to catch more fish, maybe.
On handmade resin swim baits, if you narrow it down, there'll be some new builders and new ones come up that are they set their price point and they command a lot of money. There's some hype ones, but in general, you really are paying for what you get.
I've seen that very quickly now that I've invested a couple $100. It's pretty obvious in comparison to and mind you, the second bait that I got was a Chad Shad.
Cool.
Spro.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
My mom bought it for me Christmas 2 years ago. And so the first one was the Trick Shad. The second one was the Chad Shad. And the Chad Shad for me turned everything around because it looked more like a resin bait. It's got a real feel for it. That's not like, I'm not knocking the Trick Shad, but the Trick Shad just doesn't feel like a swim bait to me.
Right.
To me. But that's really interesting, the background and how you, like in the hub of swim baiting, like what kind of better situation could you be in now based on what you had been given as a location, as an experience? When you were at Castaic, did you have any like mentors or anyone that kind of pushed you into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I drop shotted. I was traditionally fishing in Castaic. I was throwing same stuff that I would in Arkansas at Castaic, and it was working. Picked up drop shotting. That was on the rage then, still is.
Yep.
But that super finesse stuff or giant baits was the thing, and I was intimidated by big baits. And Had a guy by the name of Dave. I was shore fishing one day. I didn't have time to launch my boat, so I just went there shore fishing and found a big bass on a bed. At that time, my biggest bass was like 5 pounds from Arkansas.
Sure.
I still hadn't caught any true California giants, and found a giant on a bed. She was around 8 pounds. And Dave rolled up right in front of me and caught this. And I didn't know this guy at this point. And so he rolled up on me on his boat, caught this fish, and
right in front of you.
What the heck, man? What are you doing? Like I was standing at 10 feet away from this fish, and he catches it right in front of me. Dave laughed, big laugh, and he said, "Hop on board." And I did. I jumped on board, and Dave introduced me to Swimbaits. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, he we fished a lot together for a while, and Dave, he was kind of a bit of a mentor. I was fishing the same areas that Butch Brown was. Same lake. yeah, same lake. We ended up I was going enough on my own and our boat and all that stuff that we were on a friendly first name basis almost. I wouldn't say friends
with
Brent.
Butch.
Yeah, Butch was friendly with everyone though.
Gotcha.
Unless you ticked him off, which I don't blame him.
Yeah, same.
If you're going to chase somebody around and try to copy what they're doing, you're not going to be friendly with that person.
Asking for it.
Yeah. So we stayed on a good. Hey Butch, and hey, what's up, kiddo? I don't think he ever actually knew my name, but what's up, kiddo? And that was pretty cool. So eventually bought my first Huddleston.
And so your first bait was a Hud too?
My first a BBZ and a Huddleston. I bought them at the same time.
Okay.
So Butch was convinced me to buy a Huddleston, and I'd seen Dave fish his quite a few times, and finally bought one. And Butch said, "Hey, when you buy one, come flag me down and I'll tie it up for it, show you how to rig it, because they don't come with hooks or anything."
Right.
And so he sat down at the dock and showed me how to rig it and all that stuff, and then went out and fished. And what really, as cheesy it is, what really set the hook for swim baiting for me was I had to leave. I really wanted to catch my first swim bait fish. I had to leave everything else at home and only take out one rod, one reel, and one bait, And I think I fished for almost 2.5 weeks without a bite. And that first fish was over 8. The very first one was 8 pounds.
Gosh.
I still have pictures of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was over 8 pounds, missing half its lip. We ended up catching that fish multiple times over the next few years because her mouth was so messed up. She easily recognized it. And then the second fish was the one that really stuck, and that fish was just shy of 16 pounds. It was 15.9.
No, it wasn't.
And I'm forever chasing that fish. I've still not caught one. Hooked into some that were close to that, but hooked into some I think were bigger, but I'm still chasing that trophy.
15.9.
Yeah, 15.9 largemouth.
Holy shit.
So,
excuse my language, but holy shit.
And now I'm stuck chasing that.
Yeah. I mean, we're on a lake where there's some big fish right now, but where do you have to go to do that now?
Texas.
Yeah.
Maybe here, maybe California, Japan. They're not everywhere though.
But we've got a pretty cool, we're in Arkansas right now for everyone that doesn't know. We've got some pretty cool stuff going on that you mentioned before that are you a part of it? The lunker program?
Yeah. So they've asked me to help advise and all that stuff. I'm not paid in any way. I don't even know if I'm sponsoring it. I'm donating some baits for people who win. So
nice.
And I can put in recommendations for what I think would help grow trophy fish. But Arkansas is following suit with what Texas has done with the share lunker program.
Yep.
Arkansas has taken that. They're not. The name is trademarked and all that stuff. So Arkansas is the legacy lunker program. And obviously we don't have teeners like Texas does, so they've set the bar a little bit lower, which you have to get this program started.
Yeah.
And they're starting with 10-pound females from January through March. If you catch one, you can turn it in. They'll breed it. They'll release that fish later in the season back to the same water it was caught from. You'll get a replica. You'll get a replica. You get some gift cards, and you're in the drawing for I believe it's an express bass boat fully loaded. So it's almost from what I understand, it's almost a $70,000 package. So if you're listening to this in Arkansas, please, January through March, turn in your 10-pounders.
Or if you're in, Missouri, Oklahoma, or anywhere. I mean, this is becoming, to me, I think the coolest part. I've only lived here for 4 months now, and I have seen more like diversity in bodies of water than I have anywhere. Yeah. Like coming from Virginia, we had some interesting stuff. Tidal water I was right next to.
Yeah.
And then you could go upriver, catch smallmouth. Then you could go out to like Smith Mountain and catch fish. But Here it's like, I don't know what to say, like how to say it.
Jurassic Park?
There's just fish everywhere.
Yeah.
I live like right on Sugar Creek, or right down from Sugar Creek, which goes through Bella Vista. And I'll throw a glide bait in there. And we're talking like, you know, I could almost lay down and be the width of the lake or width of the river.
Yeah, there's spots where it dries up and goes underground.
Catch 16, 18-inch smallmouth on a glide bait.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, there's fish, just prolific amount of them and so many opportunities. I think that's, again, if anyone's hearing this now, Arkansas is a great destination to come to. It is a great place to live. It's a really cool spot for swim baiting and fishing in general. So like we mentioned, we're in Arkansas. Just a great place to have a hub for a swim bait maker like yourself. I mean, you've got places to test baits. You've got places to go to tournaments, to, like I saw you at LOZ at the Big Bass Bash.
Yeah, we keep running into each other.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Kevin here a week ago, and I was catching him in a little pocket, kind of like this. Kevin comes rolling up, throws a professor on first cast, like a 3-pounder. Fourth cast, a 5-pounder. I mean, it was just like
they were chewing that day.
It was so fun.
Yeah, they were chewing.
But we've got incredible opportunities here. Going back to your start. So KGB, from my perspective, again, I'm not the swim bait expert, but from what I see as a consumer and someone that is ingrained in the fishing industry, KGB is the swim bait.
That's cool to hear.
I'm telling, like,
it's
not
cool hearing
you,
that
dude.
fresh. Like,
yeah, I'm not fluffing you at all. I haven't said that to you before, but as a new consumer of swim baits, of resin baits, of just bass fishing, I've done it my whole life, but seeing it as an outsider and now knowing you is pretty badass, because I would truthfully say with every bone in my body that I see KGB as the head honcho, honestly.
That's cool to hear.
And where did this happen? Like, where did this start? You started with a BBZ, you started with a HUD, and now you're making all kinds of baits, dude.
Yeah. So this started for me, I've always tinkered. When I was a kid, I would end up tying feathers to hooks, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Whittling down a stick and somehow figuring out a way to put a hook on it. You know, with my mom's sewing kit, I'd end up tying all kinds of crazy stuff and trying to catch fish. Never intended to go. Obviously, I didn't know about swim baits or anything about them until I was almost, I was 15, 16 years old. So I didn't know it was going that direction. But it was just always tinkered and been creative. When I moved back to Arkansas from California, I left all my swim bait stuff with my brother. I didn't think it'd work here. I mean, I was convinced. I mean, obviously it works, but and I was addicted to it, but I wasn't so addicted to it that I thought it would work here. It wasn't like a nationwide thing at that point, at least not in my head.
What year was that?
That would have been 09 roughly.
Okay. So we're talking 16 years ago at this point now.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of past, like you mentioned, the beginning of the swim bait hype. Yeah. And it was really just California still.
And even in my mind it was, because that's why I left everything there.
Okay.
I didn't think it was going to work here.
So you didn't bring anything with you. Crazy
I brought I brought my regular fishing stuff, but left all my swim bait stuff with my brother, because he was staying out there. Like, he moved back and then we moved back and forth a little bit. But anyways, left all my stuff to him and said, here, go have fun, and it'll be here when I come visit. Then we'll go catch big fish again. Yeah. And I thought it was just a California thing, and I started getting curious about swim baits. When I came back here, I didn't have a job. There was no plan. I just moved back. And luckily, the whole time that we lived out there and all that stuff, we kept the house that I was raised in, basically, and the family farm, all that stuff. So moved back to that house. It was my dad and I. And I got curious I started fishing farm ponds. I didn't really have a good job. I was cutting firewood, and it was like July. It's hard to sell firewood in July. Yeah. But I had a chainsaw and didn't have much money. I really wasn't very driven at that point.
Do what you can with what you got, kind of deal.
I was just kind of living. So one day I was cutting firewood, and I cut the center out of a cedar tree and big chunk of redwood. And in my mind, I'm like, I miss swim bait fishing. I'm going to carve this into a fish and go try to catch one. And
what an idea. Random.
Yeah. Literally, just random. I'm 17, 18 years old and like just bored, and carved up a bluegill shape out of it. I used the picture frame. I found a picture frame kit in our basement in our garage that had the eye hooks and the big brass eye hooks, and I made this, cobbled together a horrible looking bluegill. And I went out to the farm pond and caught a fish on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it just clicked. And so then I had to do it again. I had to do it again. And you know, the first swim baits I did were mostly bluegill. Made an alligator one, made all kinds of crazy stuff, you know, but they were mostly bluegill because I was fishing farm ponds. That's what the food source is. And got pretty good at making bluegills. And then I was like, well, I joined, you know, social media was starting to develop then. That's where like all of this, all the ingredients were just right for my scenario, my story. Because social media was coming about. I was that young, obnoxious guy on, I think Swimbait Universe had just started. When I found it had like 20 members.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, it was brand new. And Swimbait Universe, for these people who don't know, it's social media on Facebook, one of the biggest platforms for swim baiting.
Oh, yeah. Biggest forum for sure for swim baiting, no questions asked.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Then there were some competing ones that would pop up and all that stuff. But yeah, there was points where I even got kicked off Swimbait Universe for being pretty much that annoying guy on there. Yeah. And
did you have to like make a new name and shit?
So no, I never did that. No, I never did that. I just eventually asked, like, please let me back in.
We know that's Kevin.
Yeah, please let me back in. And,
He's a
yeah. So no, I never did any of that. I always had my vision of how that whole industry and like how people treat each other and all that should go. Yeah. And that kind of got me in trouble sometimes. I'd run my mouth a little bit too much, and it went against what other people were thinking. And long story short, people started wanting swim baits when I'd post them. And that was the beginning of KGB, is people wanted to, you know, I think they were just helping a poor kid that was trying, you know. But that was the beginning of KGB Swimbaits, because eventually I landed on some cool designs, said, okay, I can't keep carving these out of wood. Let's play with resin to duplicate this over and over. And that was the start. That was around 2011.
Did you know how to use resin or anything?
No.
And again, like zero education here on preschool on how to make swim baits. Like, I know you use resin, you use material that creates the bait. Like, how did you even know what the hell to do? I
did it I think it was Al Linder who used to say it all the way to, and do it the hard way. Okay. Like, I'm not going to, I'm going to do it my way, the hard way. Yep. Was that Al Linder? I forget.
I'm not sure.
Am I mispronouncing it wrong?
I know Al Linder. That is definitely
I think it was something that he used to say.
Okay.
I asked for advice. I refused to watch Facebook or go to forums or go on YouTube and watch YouTube. I wanted to do it my way and figure it out. And so I spent the better portion. At this point, I had gotten a job working in the hospital. I was serving food to patients. I mean, that's about as low as you can get in the hospital, but it's a job. So and then I'd gotten a job at the fire department. I was doing both for a little while. And at the time where I started messing with resin, I was at pretty much the fire department full time. I was a full-time career firefighter. I just turned 21 at this point.
Oh, wow.
And,
nice.
And most of my paycheck was going to resin.
Bait making.
Yeah, resin. Okay. And a lot of it was trial and error, waste. There are tons and tons of waste. But I knew at this point there were cheat codes, and especially today. I mean, today you can be a builder in a box. You tell somebody, you go to a 3D designer, and you can say, I want this, and they'll do it all for you. Yeah. Everything's CAD, which is cool. I mean, it's a different world today.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing against that. It is a method of making baits. Yeah. But I have a huge respect for the guys who hand carve and do their stuff, or have a blend of hand carve, or do, you know, it's a different world for the people who truly understand their materials and what they're doing, their designs and all that stuff.
And that's kind of new for me, actually. I was not working with someone, but someone sent me a bait recently, and I was like, damn, this thing's really perfect.
Yeah.
And I'd ask someone like, hey, what is this thing even made out of? He's like, that's just a CAD design.
Yeah.
But that's cool, right? On one hand, you're making baits.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like you were saying, it's not DIY. It's not really learning how to manipulate and make these small little changes. Because I assume with resin, a change could be as simple as using some sandpaper to make the lip a little smaller.
Oh, 100%.
The tail needs to be a little skinnier.
Yeah.
And you're doing that with your hands.
Physically doing that, not on a screen and then printing it and saying, okay, what's it do now? You know, and there's there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That is the direction the industry's going.
Sure.
As far as handmade swim baits, there's this weird blend between, is this manufacturing? Is it handmade? Where does this CAD fit in that? And what's the demand for it? And
I think it's interesting you say that, because the one point that I keep hearing on social media is every bait manufacturer is stealing things from Japan. Mm-hmm. And I get the sentiment. I get the idea. We're making a little left turn here, but I wanted to talk about
this. No, that's fine. I love these. This is where it's real.
It kind of frustrates me to hear that, because so many of these baits, I'm not going to name them, are not readily available. They're a pain in the ass to get.
Yeah.
And a big company, name any of the big three, can go and say, hey, here's this bait that you can never get. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make a similar bait, similar style, similar action, and I'm going to mass produce it so that we can get it.
Right.
It's like there's two sides to it. Sure, you want to keep it like this very mythical piece that you can only get sometimes, but on the other end, like, now these big companies are able to give it to the masses.
Exactly, and that's where I feel like with Spro, and I'm not just trying to pump or do a plug here. I feel like we hit a really good blend on that, because I designed the bait 100% through and through. That Spro makes, a Spro Chad Chad. I designed that. I took elements from three different Chad Chad designs and put them together to come up with the Spro bait. And then we went back and forth, and they would literally send me a sample, and it wouldn't work at all. And I would make all the changes. I would literally cut that ABS bait in half, change around the weights, change stuff around. And we went back and forth, almost 2 years before we announced it.
So the conversation started 2 years before it
roughly,
was like,
before
hey,
anybody
guys,
knew. And that
happening.
was a part of secret to keep, because at this time, the social media was on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, people were buttonhead. There were two competing social media groups. One of them was all about drama, and there's still some of those drama pages out there. One of them was all about drama. One of them was like, let's keep it real. And it was super hard to keep that secret, but
just waiting. Someone's waiting for them to pick it up on what you're keeping secret all the time.
And so we just kept it a secret. And for me, I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, because it wasn't solidified yet. It's not real until we actually get product.
Right. So so we're fast forwarding.
Yeah, we've kind of gone.
No, that's good. Bit. So 2011, you started the resin. Mm-hmm. What was your first production bait as KGB?
It would have been a 3-piece bluegill. Okay. And KGB started officially in 2012. I had to figure out something to call it, because that's when I started selling baits through social media on Facebook. Excuse me. At that time, I didn't do a website. It was like, comment, in if you want this bait, and then it would shoot a message. And it was a 3-piece bluegill. Yeah, PayPal, check. I would literally just whatever, mail me some cash. I don't care. It's pretty early.
So it's for the people.
Yeah, and so it was a 3-piece bluegill, and KGB is just my initials, Kevin Grant Brightwell, KGB. Okay. And I think it was that same day somebody laughed, and they're like, "You're going to hear about this for the rest of, the same day that I announced, okay, we're calling it KGB Swimbaits."
Yep.
Somebody's like, "You're going to get laughs about this for a long time because the mafia."
Yeah.
And still to this day.
I honestly was a little scared. I was doing some research on you and was like, am I going to be allowed to post this in the title? Is YouTube going to ban me and think I'm like a Russian spy or something?
No, I mean, it's kind of funny because we still get that, that mix and all that
cool.
stuff.
I think it's cool.
It's just my initials.
Dichotomy of here's this cool thing. KGB, you can think about it however you want, but you've got this representation over here, but in reality, it's just you.
Yeah.
It literally is you. The acronym is
my initials.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So,
and that was 2012 when all that actually, and that's why you see KGB established 2012, all that stuff. I've been working on baits for a long time.
So, and then 3-piece gill.
Yep. 3-piece gill. Next was, worked on this is like a 5-piece little bitty shad. I never did anything. It blew apart. I mean, you catch crap out of fish on it, but it would blow apart easy. It broke all the time. So I never did anything with that.
Just like a skinny little multiple piece with the
shad
burn really fast kind of deal. Okay.
And I was sending them out to pros thinking that was the thing to do. And I'm still talking to some of those guys, which is cool. Yeah. They're like, holy crap, dude. Really? Because they were
exchanged.
Yeah, some of them weren't pro. Some were college athletes that had a really good future ahead of them. And so it's still cool, seeing the careers match each other in a way.
Yep. So we talked about Spro.
We kind of jumped back and forth here. So hopefully the timeline ain't confusing for everybody. But
so 2012, we got our first bait. Then we got another bait. I know you because of the Chad Shad. When did the Chad Shad start?
I have to look back. It would have been around 2013 or 14.
Okay.
It's when the first Chads were there.
And that's when we started deviating towards mostly shad.
Yeah.
And do you still make that 3-piece gill?
No. I do have the original mold.
Okay.
I have some of the baits I've actually bought back from customers because I've started collecting my own baits.
That's pretty badass. Yeah.
You know, but I still have some. Yeah, I still have some for the trophy wall. But no, our methods that we use now have changed so much, and it doesn't work well with. If I wanted to go back and do those same methods, absolutely could. But those took so much time to do individually that it doesn't match our production style now.
And so you are primarily a shad guy now, or KGB is shad.
Shad, crappie, trout.
Oh,
you know, we've got
the crappie as well. Yep.
Yeah, we got the KGB crappie, the trout. I'm trying to diversify a little bit more, but shad is the most prevalent food source in my area, as most of the country.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I'm just making a guesstimate here.
Mm-hmm.
Were you the first garage bait manufacturer to work with a mass producer or a big bait brand to change your garage bait to ABS?
No, I think mine just gained. I think timing again was just really special.
So it's been done before.
It's been done before. Mike Bucca with Bullshad. I think he had already had Ketchco. Right. He was already working with Ketchco and stuff like that. I mean, push it all the way back full circle was Bill Siementel with BBZ. He was tinkering with baits. I don't know
that's a hard bait. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know the depth of that. I know that Bill Siementel was designing baits and tinkering with baits. I don't know if he had his own. I don't know too much of his story on how that all played out, but and then lots of triple trout. Well, I mean, they've always done their own thing, so it's happened before. I think ours just gained a lot of publicity due to timing.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going. Is like when I saw the Chad Shad come out, there was a hell of a lot of resin baits going ABS right after it. Like within
it set a
months
trend.
And then years, and now it's like every month you see a resin style bait turning rubber or to ABS.
I think what the magic was, what made that go over so well and gain so much popularity is the Chad already had a cult-like following.
Sure.
My resin ones did. On eBay, you know, we were selling them we started around $110. They've had to go up, prices, inflation, all that stuff. But, you know, they were going on eBay for $300 and $400.
Oh, shit.
At that time. And so people were super frustrated, knew it was a good bait, hard to get, had all this excitement and energy behind it. And then, boom, we announced, hey, partner with Spro and you can get it for $50, you know, $60. And it just went over really, really well.
And that's back to the point of you make this thing that's really coveted and it's still hard to get. Like swimbait culture, I've never seen like a drop culture like it other than in fashion, like with shoes or, you know, really like streetwear is where I've seen it take off.
Right.
Swimbait, it's like that's the only way that people sell things, it seems like.
Right. And for me, that's what, you know, we still call it a drop, but reality, when you look at it, and this is just something that's, I've tried to explain to customers multiple times, especially newer customers who get mad about the drop, because there's a lot of people who miss out whenever we sell baits.
Of course, yeah.
It's a lot of times it's not the builder that makes it a drop. It's what makes it a drop. What makes it a drop, right? It's I have X amount of product.
Yep.
How fast does it go? If it sits on the internet for 3 weeks, is that considered a drop, or is that just, hey, we post
you probably too?
Yeah, and that's one to every other customer who misses out. Oh, they just upload them to the website. But if you upload them to the website and you've got 300 baits and you've got 6,000 customers hitting your website at the same time and they're gone, they're calling it a drop.
Right.
That's out of the control of the bait builder, and that's something I do like. I want to explain and clarify to people, especially the newer customers, that that's out of the control.
You're not doing this intentionally.
No, that's out of my control. If I try to put as many baits as I can, and I wish I could hold until I had 6,000 baits.
Right.
You know how much money that would be out of my pocket? I would go broke before that.
Yeah,
that's
cash,
what.
Maybe we'll
the
talk
cash
about
flow.
this more. We'll talk about business 101, but cash flow is pretty important.
Yeah,
so it's part of your business.
Yeah, a guy on my level, you know, I can hold up to about 400 to 600 baits, but then I've got employees, I've got lights,
make money back,
light bill.
exactly.
I've got to turn around and make some money back.
Yeah,
and you know, I think 400 to 600 is peaking what any other builder is going to do. There's only a couple, there's only a few of us that do this garage style building that can have those numbers.
That inventory, yeah. That's interesting. So you went from 2012, just give a quick timeline again, or 2011, farting with a piece of cedar out of the middle of a block of wood. 2012 comes, you make your first bait and you start the company itself.
Right.
And then we get the Chad Shad in 2013, 14-ish.
Yeah.
And when did the Spro deal happen?
Gosh, that was 2019 is when we announced it.
Okay.
I think it was 2019, 2020.
And so...
Or 21. I have to look back.
I want to check this now. I want to go to the point of, I know for a fact you were not doing this full time. You were since 2012. There's no chance.
No, not at that time.
And you were a firefighter. You were doing two things at once at one point. You were a firefighter and cleaning dishes or serving food, whatever you call it. What was it like having a full-time job? And I know background of firefighter because my dad was one. He was 24 on, 48 off down in Florida. I don't know if that was your schedule too.
I switched departments at one point, and so my schedule shifted as well.
And he was a guide on the side. So that was always the career that I wanted. I thought firefighter, and then I get all this time off, and I'm going to be so jive turkey when I get off. But dude, you're tired as shit after a 24-hour shift. Oh my gosh.
Depends on what department you're, what station you're at even.
Right. So, and so you were working a full-time gig until how long has this been going full-time?
So it was 2019, around 2020 is when I quit.
Okay.
The fire department. So I was building baits as a hobby, fun. Started KGB Swimbaits, and that was really just to make enough money back to justify doing it, you know, with hopes. And hopes that maybe it would go somewhere someday.
Yeah. You can keep going.
And then
get paranoid.
Started dating Vanessa. Started dating her. She lived, you know, 2.5, almost 2 hours away.
This is your wife now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So started dating her she lived 2 hours away, and eventually that drive was like too long. Yeah. And she's like, you got to get off your feet, buddy. If this is real, then you need to do something. We weren't married at the time.
Put a ring on it.
Yeah. So and I drugged my feet on that too. That's where business and some of the real stuff, like, man, it just, it could take its toll. But anyways, was dating her. This is how we got to this point, was dating her, finally switched careers or switched departments, which isn't as easy. It's not, you don't just like put in your paperwork and go. It was I had to go through the fire academy all over again. Like that was.
You had to have different credentials and stuff for this other station?
Yeah, for this new department, they have their own. The credentials carry over.
Okay.
But at that time, any rookie, it didn't matter. I had almost 10 years on in the fire service, and I was a rookie again.
Oh shit!
Like that's a big move, man.
Yeah, that's
like
tough.
10 years in, I was vested. You know, I'm already
like literally vested,
built-in retirement. Yeah, and starting over as a rookie, man, that was rough because it's year one. What was funny about that too is I was actually an instructor for the state of Arkansas.
Okay.
And here I am being taught again. I'd already been through all
You've literally taught people to do this.
Yeah. And the instructors at that time, they didn't know that I was actually, if you look at credentials, I was higher than them. So,
but you're just some rookie to them.
I was some rookie to them. So it was start from scratch, but the pay was better, and I was closer to Vanessa, and we moved in together and all that stuff. We'll come late 2018, we found out we were pregnant with my son, Benson. Awesome. And mind you, this whole time I'd been making swim baits on the side as something to do, make little extra money here and there. When we found out we were pregnant, it was pretty clear it's either this is going to have to drop to the side. Something's going to give. Either fire department's going to give or the bait maker's got to give, but I got to go all in on one of them because I can't do both and take care of a
Say that
kid.
Again for people, please.
Yeah.
You got to do it all at once.
Yeah.
You can't half-ass.
No.
Especially when there's important shit in your life. Like getting married, having a kid.
Exactly.
Moving, all that kind of stuff. I think for everyone watching, hopefully you watch this because you want some insight on how to, you know, maybe start a side hustle or start a business. But side hustles can't be side hustles forever, especially when life starts lifing.
Right. It's either you're going to half-ass it or you're going to go all in and become the best you could be at it. One of the two. And so that's where I was, but we couldn't do it overnight. We couldn't decide right then which one is more valuable, because here I am, the fire department, it's a risky job, but you're not putting your life on line every day.
Right.
It is risky. For the most part, it's a pretty safe. There's enough training and stuff now that it's not as risky as it used to be.
Yeah.
A lot more caution goes into the job, but there's still some inherent risk to it. So do I deal with this risk? And wear on your body, being tired, gone. Went from the previous department I'd work one full day on, 24 hours on, 48 off. This new department I was gone for 48 hours and then have 96 off. The 4 days off was great, but I'm gone for a full 2 days.
Yeah, that next day you're coming back, you're probably done the entire day.
Depends on what station you're at. Yeah, if you're at a busy station, certain stations, you sleep all day at the fire department. You're either sleeping or training or doing paperwork.
Right.
And other stations, there were times where we had to call chief and say, we're out of service. We haven't slept in, 39 hours.
You can't open your eyes, literally.
It's time to call it. I'm dangerous to people at this point.
Yeah.
So it really came down to Vanessa and I talked about it, and we're like, okay, let's push this. I want to push on the baits and see how far I can take this while you're pregnant.
Yep.
And maybe a little bit after he's born.
Yep.
And eventually we'll decide whether it's worth it or not. Because she had my fire department leave. Once he was born, that's when it went full throttle. Absolutely full throttle, because she had less leave than I did.
Oh boy.
Yeah, for her career, like fire department leave was amazing. I had parental leave for, I think it was like 10 weeks.
Oh, nice.
I had a lot of time off when he was first born. And I was actually...
That's a good thing.
So she, first couple weeks we were both at home taking care of the baby. And then at nighttime I'd jump in and go make swim baits.
Yep.
And then eventually she had to go to work. So I would stay at home all day, take care of the baby by myself.
And you're still...
And still doing a fire department, yeah.
But you're still on leave? Or
I was still on leave at this point. I still had, I think she had like 4 weeks. I had 10.
I don't want to dig into
5
this,
weeks.
but that's screwed up, man.
Yeah, it is. She's the woman. She had the baby. She should have had more time off.
Up, dude.
That's pretty typical in America, though.
I know it is. I know. I don't want to get deep in that because I really
that's a whole nother.
Like that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother strain. Somehow she had the baby, but somehow I had more time off. But I used every bit of it.
Good.
And that alleviated her. She could focus and get back to normalcy as much as possible.
Trying to heal. As a female having just given a birth to a child.
Yeah. So for the first 4 to 6 months of Benson's life, I forget exactly how old he was whenever I quit the fire department. But for the first 4 to 6 months, if I wasn't at the fire department and it was daytime hours while she was working, I was at home. She would get home. We'd have a quick hang out for a minute, eat dinner together, and then I would go to the workshop and work on baits until I got tired. 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Kind of deal, yeah.
Yeah, and then I just had to make sure I was home in time to take care of Benson when she had to go to work again.
Gotcha.
So there were some times where I'd stay until 6 a.m., get an hour of sleep. She leaves at 7, and I'm on baby duty again.
Dude, so
that was the grind of building KGB Swimbaits into like something viable.
What I'm hearing right now, and I sure hope everyone is listening to this part, is if you want it, you got to do it.
Right.
Like there's other people out there that are making swim baits all the time.
Right.
But they don't have the integrity, the consistency, the mentality of not stopping. Like if you want something bad enough, you put your ass to work.
Right.
And do it as hard as you possibly can. And I hate the idea of like this hustle culture of you gotta not sleep, blah blah blah. Like,
no, it's not a hustle. It's just you're driven.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference between a hustle and driven.
But I get like the idea of like, let's bash people that are saying, you don't need sleep, this, that, the other. But if you love what you're doing and you can't do anything else, and I talk about this often, it's my can't not do is what I just did to quit my job. Like I couldn't work anymore for someone else, period. It got to the point where I was absolutely done and I wasn't running away from that thing. And it sounds like you're not running away from being a firefighter.
No, I love the job.
Enjoyed it. Yeah. But this turned into something that was your can't not do. You've got to do this.
We sat down and crunched the numbers finally. And it was, part of it was we were looking at buying a different house too.
Okay.
And it was a beautiful house, had its own shop. And this was perfect because I wouldn't have to, at the time I was building them out of a buddy's shop.
So you had
like a back room. Somewhere. I had a closet somewhere. Yeah, basically. Couldn't do them at home. It's too messy and dirty. Mm-hmm. So I was doing it at my buddy's workshop in his storage room, basically.
Oh,
and it wasn't too far away, but so we found this house that we really liked. Ended up being a nightmare of a house, but that's a whole different story.
We'll talk about that on the next episode.
So anyways, it had a shop. It was right by the lake. It was almost lakefront.
Right by this lake? Or Beaver?
Beaver Lake.
Oh, nice.
So ended up being a pretty cool house. Had a shop, and that was part of okay, we'll buy this house. It has a shop. I can do the baits, be at home, all that stuff. And so we were crunching the numbers, and okay, we bought the house. We were in that house for a while, and I think we were in the house for 7-8 months, and that's whenever we pulled the trigger and I quit being a firefighter. I think he was past one. It's been such a blur and a grind since then.
But it was early on in your child's life, and you realize that once again, like go back to the 2-tree decision.
Yeah.
You can't just do these both 100%.
No.
It's not possible at some point.
One of them was going to have to go.
Right. What was you crunch numbers. I'm sure you had some kind of business plan, or at least like some idea.
Sorta.
Yeah. Some idea of a plan, preparation. You had been doing this for 8 years prior.
Yeah, right? But this whole time, you got to think it was just kind of making extra money and paying for itself. The business plan was, let's try as hard as we can. And Vanessa, I want you to be able to stay at home.
Yeah.
Take care of the baby if you want.
The end goal, yeah.
Yep. And she ended up quitting her job too at one point and worked on KGB Swimbaits as well. So she was behind the scenes, helped get the website set up, helped facilitate buying this house that helped, we all helped each other. It was a lot. We both sacrificed to go all in on this, and with the hopes that it would pay off and she could stay at home.
I think that's a really cool thing. It sounds like we have a similar story in our partners. Mm-hmm. My wife was a huge part in me making this decision. She pushed me to say, like, I see how mad you are or frustrated you are with your job, and I see how much you want this other thing. And having a supportive partner to do, like, she lets me go fishing.
Right.
Like, dude, that's bad. Like, I'm going to go fish at a tournament on Sunday and she's going to watch my kid. Like, that's a serious involvement that she has to take in my business. But she's so supportive of it because she knows that this is, one, I can't not do. Right. And two, if she doesn't support it, it's probably not going to work.
Yeah. If she doesn't want you to go, you ain't going.
Exactly.
And people, you mentioned this earlier when we were just fishing, is, some guys are like, oh, your wife lets you go fishing. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Exactly. I do ask permission because we have a child.
Somebody's got to be there for the children.
Yeah. We have shit to do that needs to get done. And if my wife says, I don't think so, we need to get some stuff done, I'm going to say, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with her.
And I had a really difficult time. Some of the real struggles and this is no lie, it caused major disruptions in our personal life, is I had a really hard time distinguishing, people when I hired them, they were friends at the time, and we've had some struggles, ups and downs, or even distinguishing time, on the weekends, trying to go fishing on the weekends and stuff. And really that should have been, looking back, I caused some harm and damage in our relationship.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Pushing it too far, I'm doing this for a living, and so I need to go. Well, it's a weekend. I should have been home with the family.
Yeah.
Now we're to this point now because of some of those sacrifices and all that stuff. But in hindsight, like on the real side of stuff, it's not all just rainbows and butterflies. There's some real struggles and sacrifices and arguments that, we mess up sometimes, put your passion ahead of where it should, ahead of things that you should. And that's a whole nother episode on that stuff. But
I'm sure my wife is going to point out this part for me because I'm definitely in that situation now where I still am having a hard time drawing the line because I want to fish every single day.
Yeah.
And that gets in the way of my business, which I'm consulting as a marketer, I am a creator, so on and so forth. Like, I got to be behind the desk, one, but two, I can't make excuses to say I need to go fishing versus spend time with my family. And that's where I'm ashamed of doing that. But I know
there's a balance.
Like you just said, a lot of things that have happened for you are probably because you put in that extra time, but it's still not an excuse.
It's not an excuse. No, I can look back and say at the end of the day, it was, that got us to where we are today. Yep. Had I not put in the extra time, may not be where we're at today. May not have made that one fateful phone call that made a connection with the company or something. Yep. It's just a lot of stuff where it lined up to be right. but there's a heavy trade-off. And you talk to any serious bait maker that's not just a builder in a box who's actually put the time in, they all have a very similar.
Yeah, I think that's any entrepreneur too. You know, everyone's got to take risks. One, you took a huge risk by quitting a stable job that you even enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the path to retirement. You know, a guaranteed retirement. Still, luckily, got vested, but guaranteed retirement. That's why people go in the fire service.
That is literally the reason that I wanted to be a firefighter, because 25 years in, your pension is badass.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody brags about. Like, look at, the firefighters in LA or any big city. I mean, that's why they do it. What do they talk about? The retirement. Yeah, exactly. And so, I gave that up.
It's risk
for this.
It's reward, though, too. And it's an opportunity that you got to take. I think a lot of people say this thing, it's preparation meets opportunity. That's luck, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is you prepared for this for 8 years before this, really honing your craft. And then you had the opportunity when you said in your head, like, we got to do this before the baby comes. Yeah. And then when he does, I got to put my ass in high gear. Like, it's either going to happen or it ain't.
There's something about that. And, before you have children, if you don't have children, it's really hard to understand. People say, having kids changes you. And it's not even like you want that to happen. There's something subconscious, and it does. It changes you. I don't know what it is, but it should anyways. There's some people out there that doesn't, know. But if you care, then it turns you into a whole different animal of what drives you.
Well, it's like male and female both have their own ways of changing too. Like a man becomes a protector. Like that's at least like what's supposed to happen. Yeah. Whereas a female becomes...
And I've struggled with that. There's stories on that with the business where I let people say things and do things that I never should have. And that's because that's where part of the struggles of being a business.
Yeah. So let's talk about the team. Like, 2012, it was just yourself. Mm-hmm. When did you have to hire your first employee?
I hired guys. I forget if it was right before we found out we were pregnant or if it was around that same time, but I had other firefighters. Yeah, I was still full time, but I had other firefighters coming in on their day off. And at this point it was super lax. I was like, hey, what day can you come in? I didn't have an enforceable schedule. Yeah. I was paying them cash under the table to begin with, and later ended up having to go, get all legit and everything and do taxes and all that stuff. But yeah, it all started. Had a few firefighters that kind of came in on and off. And
were they fishing buddies, or were they just random dudes?
Just random dudes. Yeah. Even back before I moved over to this area, when I was at the other department, I would have guys come in and help just for the extra money of it. Not even really growing the business side of it, but just extra money. They'd have somebody come help for a day.
Was it like monotonous work that you gave them? Yeah. Like put a hanger on or something like that?
Yeah. It's just
not something they could F up.
Right. And then I would teach somebody how to pour the baits, and all that stuff. And it kind of grew. And then eventually hired the first guy outside the fire department. He was a customer. And that's how the first few hirees were customers. And still work close with some of them, not so close with others. Business can hurt friendships and end relationships and all kinds of stuff. And people don't realize that. I didn't realize that. And it's, there's people that I used to talk to, and I don't have anything to do with them anymore. And it'll show you different sides of people.
I think that's a tough reality that everyone has to understand, is you can only be a solopreneur, as it's called now, for so long if you want to grow. Yeah. Like, obviously, you have to build out your team. And one of the ways that I look at personally, like success would be going from me to we to they. Yeah. So me is me doing everything. Then to we, which is us giving other tasks that we used to do. Right. And then they is literally your hands off. Like, I don't know if I ever want to get there. Right. With what I'm doing. I enjoy doing it. Yeah. But like, that is, I think, the progression that you could have, but you were in the we position. Yeah. And you found out.
And the we is the most troublesome one, I think. Because it's before you have it figured out. Yep. It's before you have, as a business owner, when it's you have people that you're working with, and so you let them get away with, I'll just say it, you let them get away with shit that now I would have never done. And it's because I didn't know before, and it was ignorance on my part, and sometimes that's not an excuse. Sometimes they would, had one mouth off to Vanessa one time over a piece of equipment, and I should have shut him down and fired his ass right then, and I didn't because I needed him. It was we.
Yep.
I felt like we needed him.
Yep.
Didn't need him, but I should have. In hindsight, that was very disruptive. That argument didn't just happen in the shop and then end. I had here, I took that home.
Yeah.
That was personal. That was in my life. And that took a drastic, that's draining. I don't know if that's inevitable or if there's any way around that. How I responded should have been differently, but in hindsight, you learn from it and never do it again. Never let that happen again.
Yeah. And that's all the learning phase.
Yeah. The we is the hardest part because you're doing everything you can to make it work, and you're just deep into it.
Like you said, you're passing off tasks that maybe you didn't teach perfectly, and it's not your own fault. It's that you had never taught anyone to do it before. You've been the one doing it hands-on for forever.
And that's your skill set that you've developed, and literally I developed it on my own. I never have watched until after everything's established. I start watching YouTube for entertainment and see how other builders are doing it. But at that point, there's nobody that was doing that same thing, and you're trying to pass that on even down to if you're holding the mold, a certain bait on a certain mold, you got to tip it this way to get the air to come out, and just stuff like that.
Writing that down, or at least teaching someone that perfectly has got to be.
Oh yeah,
that's hard in like the tech world or project management specifically. And you might have had these in the firefighter world, just an SOP, standard operating procedure, and I think when we're a small business and we are our own boss, where when Karen comes in and says, let me talk to the manager, and you put a new hat on and you say, yeah, that's me.
Okay, come on, let's go.
You don't think about those kinds of things of like writing down, take this step, that step, step, and then you can just pass it off.
Right.
And it's really tough.
You're developing those SOPs. You're developing your business culture. If you're turning this into a business where other people work with you and then eventually work for you, you're developing that. And there's no handbook. If there is, I would love to.
Someone pass it on to both of us.
Can we rewind a little bit and I'll take that handbook and do it that way, because when you're developing something like this, it's not a cut and paste. This is a pretty unique job. It's not like mowing lawns where where people have been doing it for 20 years. Okay, you get the guy who can do the job, and hopefully he is sober and does well.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a little different, and you're rewriting and creating your own culture within your business and how you want it to function.
And I think that's a great tip for anyone that's looking to do something that's like a hard product or a hard good that you're hand making, or even just like becoming a YouTuber or a creator or a tackle shop owner, anything in the fishing industry. If you can get to the point where you just step back for 10 minutes a day and write down the things that you do in a procedural perspective, when you get to that point where it's time for you to hire someone, your life will be light years ahead.
Yeah.
I know I'm really bad at it right now. There's a lot of shit I'd love to hand off to someone else. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Right. And that's and that's all hindsight stuff. Like there is no, I could tell you what to do right now, but it's not going to apply to what you're doing.
Yep.
That's stuff that you got to find out and do on how you want somebody to handle that.
Yep. So you've gone through a lot of business learnings, team building. You've probably gone from you've gone from just you to now having this company that not only is just KGB, you're now working with Spro. Do you have any other partnerships or relationships that KGB has connection with?
Individual painters. That's part of, I used to paint every single bait that came out of my shop, and I eventually had to this is kind of what we've been talking about. You eventually have to get out of the business, work on the business. But you got to get it to that stage and get people that you trust and people that aren't fighting your system and aren't trying to take advantage of you and all that stuff. Because you're going to get every bit of that. At some point, you can take who you think is a good friend and you hand them the wheel for a minute, and it's not going the direction you want it to go. And so eventually you got to get all those puzzle pieces put together. And when it does, then you can step back and actually start working on the business. That's when it starts becoming from we to
Sort of they.
Sort of. And I don't think I don't know what that looks like where it fully becomes they.
I feel like that's a choice, though, at the end of the day. Like, if you want to step back all the way back, were you actually that passionate in the first place? Like, I don't feel like you're the kind of guy that's going to say, I'll never have any involvement in KGB.
Right. As long as there's no burnout involved, and we all reach those points.
Yep.
So, and that's where you have to take a step back and let it be they for a little while if it's self-sustainable. Like, because right now we're at the stage where every one of us depend on how many baits we put on that shelf that week. I mean,
that's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure and the good thing is I've got a team that handles that pressure and doesn't get selfish about it, doesn't intentionally, like
we're all held to the same bar.
Yes. And it's building that, I said it multiple times, building that culture within your career, whatever your path you're choosing, your business.
Yep.
To where it's not any more pressure on one person than the other. We're all a team. Let's do this so we all end up with a paycheck together. At the end of the week, come on, fellas.
So let's talk about the brand in general. Like, I think that's something that I like a lot. I worked in branding for 10 years in the outdoor industry and lifestyle brands as well. And I love branding. And I think if you can do branding the right way, it's a trickle down throughout all your company.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, if you say, like, my brand is basically, there's a mantra I say is fish more, work less.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you do your passion more often than just working and wasting your time and giving your time to someone else for their dream. And that trickles down into everything that I do.
Right.
Everything. Like, no social post will ever go up that has a random bullshit about it. Like, these are tips that I'm trying to help people.
You don't want to rant.
Do it better. Yeah.
You don't want. You're setting your culture.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'd love to hear more about how you see KGB as a brand, from the product as the business and all the way down to, like, the team, because it seems like you've got that dialed. And I want to give you one thing, because we were talking on the phone yesterday and you were like, oh, my guys have off on Fridays because we worked out a shift where we do 410s. It's like, wait, hasn't everyone been asking for that? Like, I go on LinkedIn every day and I see, when are we going to start 4-day work weeks? It's like, this guy in the swimbait industry already is doing it.
Yeah. That started with some of the earlier employees that I had who were very passionate about fishing. I was too. So let's make it to where we can, we're making fishing lures. Let's make it to where we can fish. And for me, I still consider Friday a work day. There might be days where I take off earlier in the week and I don't go into the office anymore or to the shop or don't do anything swimbait building related, and I'm out on the water. But, Fridays, I still kind of consider it's a blend of a work day. A lot of days I'll be doing something like this. This is work still. It is for you.
Yeah. And your guys were just on the water with us.
My guys were on the water and they're using swim baits. What are they going to do? They're going to come back and be like, hey man, I noticed this about the bait.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's see.
Of it.
Yeah. It's all, it's still somewhat work related.
So from the brand perspective, that trickle? No, that's important. So from the brand perspective, do you feel like that trickles down, like that ideation of ensuring that you make the perfect bait and that fishing is at the forefront? Like, is that what you consider KGB as a brand, or how would you describe it?
I'm still figuring that out, I guess you could say, because KGB, when it first started, people were buying into me and my story. I would get on live and people were buying Kevin's baits.
Okay.
They were buying, I was hand making stuff. I had my hands on every single bait that went out the door. I tuned every single bait. They were buying into me, and I had to eventually transition that to where they were buying into KGB. That's why I don't do the lives as much anymore. People still like seeing that and do that, but this may have been before before you started following KGB.
Yeah,
I would do. That's how I sold baits. Was I would go live, show the baits, then post them on the website, and that's cool. That's how people would know that baits were available, and that's what started that whole drop thing for KGB. Anyway, is if I went live, people started hitting the website.
Gotcha.
And that was not intentional on that. It's just that's what worked for us. That's what worked with having a toddler or a crying baby at home. He's taking a nap. Okay, let's go sell the baits. All right, cool. Let's let people know that he's asleep.
This was not a timed thing. This was I had to do it.
The drops. That's why the drops would happen. 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., 6 a.m. It's whenever the baits were done, and whenever the kiddo was asleep. I would go and do a live video, and Vanessa would be behind the screens, and at 20 minutes later, post them on the website after I got done counting them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people were that bought into Kevin.
Originally, it was you.
Yeah. People were that bought into Kevin. Even though I had employees, they were buying into me and my story.
Yep.
And I was a firefighter. They loved that. And then it took a lot of transition. There were some hard times that I went through that I'm not ready to get into on all that stuff. But there's some hard times that pulled me away from the business for a little bit. I was still very much involved, but it was still my business. But I had to take a breather. Went through, personal struggles.
Yeah.
Had to take a breather. And during that time is whenever I really made a push to turn it into, people are buying into KGB.
Sure.
And we're still somewhat working on that. I think it's pretty much there now.
Yeah.
But, to fully answer that, like, we're just winging it until it's right. I don't know how to say it.
I mean, from what I see from an
smooth.
outsider perspective as a branding person,
Yeah.
I see it as a badass bait, and because I know you, I know that the brand is true to their customer and giving them a bait that's going to get bit.
Yeah.
Like,
we try
that
to.
is very important these days, because it seems like every time I see you out here, whether it's on Beaver or here, you're testing something new. Mm-hmm. And we already talked about the Chad Shad. It took you 2 years to get the ABS version live.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what I see from hearing that, knowing you, knowing some of your story, is that KGB is perfection in perfection-ish. The brand wants you to catch fish with their baits.
Yeah.
Period.
That's always been the goal. And if a customer breaks a bait, they send it back to us to repair it. There's not a lot of companies that will do that, pretty much without question. And the thing is, like, I want customers fishing our baits. I want them to catch their personal best on our bait. And that's not even money driven. Yeah. That's back where Kevin takes pride in his work. And it's a lot cheaper. People, startup companies can be like, well, how could you do that? What if what if people send back every bait? Well, then you probably shouldn't be sending them out.
Right. Yeah. If that's the point.
Yeah.
Maybe we did something wrong.
Yeah. If you're worried about getting returns and having to repair it and what it costs, we do it free of charge,
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anybody breaks a bait, send us a picture of it. And if it's something we can help you with over messages and over the phone, cool. If somebody wants to try to do a repair, we'll try to coach them through it. Or
that's awesome.
If not, send it back and we'll repair it. We'll either repair it or replace it.
So let's talk about baits. I'm going to pause for a sec, let you grab a few things. Maybe we'll talk while we pause this thing on how we want to talk about the baits. But you've got a couple on deck up there that I personally haven't seen before because, like I mentioned,
some are prototypes.
I'm pretty new into this industry in general. It's not even the prototypes. I think some of your baits the giant ones. Yeah. The King or the King.
Yep.
King. I've never seen that before.
Well, that's a new model of it that nobody's seen before. But we can talk about that one. That one's fun.
Let's go back to our origin story. It's actually funny that you're here right now with me because you were on my list to be on this podcast.
Okay.
And I had no idea how to get a hold of you.
That's funny.
I literally told my wife that morning about you and finding out that you lived in Northwest Arkansas. We had just moved here. I back my boat down the ramp, put the boat in the water, dock it. I'm solo, so I just leave it down there, come back down. You've got your poles down at Prairie.
Yeah.
And I look over and I see that bait. It's either that one of the big ones. One of the big ones. And I go, is that a Roman made? Me being an idiot, I don't know Swimbaits.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's a KGB. It's like, in my head, I go, no fucking way, that's Kevin. I literally said this morning.
And I wasn't talking about myself either. I was talking about the baits.
Yeah, we were talking about the baits. And then you had the kindness to be like, I think we somehow were talking about the big striper.
Yeah.
You're like, come follow me out here. I'll show you something that'll fast forward your striper by 2 years. And I was like,
and I think this is still before I introduced who I actually was.
I think I had figured it out. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't tell you, but I was like, oh shit, this is Kevin. I literally this morning told my wife, like, I don't know how to get a hold of Kevin, but I need him on the podcast. So cool sequence of events. Now we're sitting in a boat together. Now you're on the podcast, but we're going to grab a couple of baits, walk you through what I want to know is what makes a good swim bait.
Right. Okay, cool.
Maybe we start off with that giant one that started our story together. The one that I thought was for some strange reason a Roman made, because I've never seen one in person.
Be the king.
That is a king. Okay.
Yeah, KGB
How
king.
big is that?
Around 11.5 inches.
What kind of weight are we looking at?
About 7 ounces. This is the newest one. Nobody's seen this one yet.
Okay.
So this is the newest rendition of the king.
Hold that thing up to
you guys are getting the first look at what the king, and this is bad paint job. This is a quick prototype paint
Put
job.
it out, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm putting that out there. It's flaking off, but I've been catching fish on it.
And so what was the idea behind that bait?
I was going to a tournament at Lake the Ozarks, and I wanted to catch the biggest fish because the biggest fish wins $100,000.
Yeah.
And so I was already throwing the Chad. Already throwing the Chad up there, and I would jump from the Chad to the king and went up there and won $10,000 the first year that I threw it up there. On the prototype, and it was literally the only swimming one, the only swimmable one, and won 10 grand on it. So I thought that bait needs to come to production.
What was the 10 grand for? Was it it wasn't the biggest fish?
No, it was third place. The biggest fish is 100,000. I got third place overall. I had first place for a little bit and then got bumped down and later got bumped down again.
And that was with the king?
That was with the prototype, yeah.
Damn.
The only swimming one.
How big was that? Or how big was the fish?
6.12 pounds.
So I think that's one of the big misconceptions that I had in the beginning of my swim bait career was giant baits, only giant fish. A 6 plus is a big fish.
Yeah, it is. You can catch 2-pounders on that bait. Exactly. I've done it. I've caught fish that are 1 pound come up, and they're just, bass don't have hands. They got to feel it with their mouth. If they don't know what it is, they got to feel it with their mouth, and hopefully you get a hook in their mouth.
So a 7-ounce bait might catch a 2-pound fish or a 1-pound fish.
Right, and that one's actually
by that.
Well, that one's lost weight. It may end up being closer to the 9-ounce range when we're all said and done.
That's an interesting bait. So is that modeled like a Chad shad? And again, excuse my ignorance, but is that like a Chad shad just XL? How does coming up with something like that work?
In a really short way of saying it, yes, but it's its own whole different model.
Okay, cool. Let's grab this new bait. Okay. This one I've been seeing all over the place, and I personally really like these smaller size swim baits because you can throw them on anything. What is this bait called? This
is the Spro little guy. This is one of them that I partnered up with Spro.
Okay.
Originally made the little guy out of resin and partnered with Spro to build it, and actually Spro has done a better job than what my resin ones are.
Nice.
I'm not afraid to admit that this bait is more consistent, swims better, glides better, does everything better in my opinion than I could do with resin of that same size. I'm just limited with space and weighting and all that stuff when you come to small stuff.
And why did you go with a small bait like this? What would you use that versus 11-inch bait? More
tournament friendly, more getting new people into it, kid friendly, just more fishy. You're going to catch small Kentucky bass on that. You can catch trout on this.
Yeah.
You can catch crappie on this.
Smallmouth probably.
Smallmouth tear it up. Yeah. So pretty much this bait will get bit anywhere.
And how big is that bait weight wise?
What's this? 1 point? It's just shy of it. No, it's 0.74 ounces. So
you could
3/4
easily
ounce.
Throw this on a jig rod, or like you don't need a swim bait rod by any means for that.
You don't need a swim bait rod, but that being said, we are developing it's the first. I don't want to say the first. That would be. I'm not factual on that.
I'm not claiming. Yeah.
Right, I'm not going to claim to be the first, but we are developing a swim bait rod developed for this bait with Spro and F5 rods.
So that's for that specific swim bait.
Yep.
That's badass.
It's been a couple of years in the making on this, on not only the bait but the rod itself. Putting together a whole combo that works well.
F5 rod.
It's an F5
in partnership with Spro and KGB.
F5 in partnership with KGB, and then we took it to Spro, hoping they would like it. They liked it, and I think that's going to be coming down. It's coming down the pipe. This is one of the prototypes. There's a few changes, but yeah, that's going to be coming down the pipe.
It looks sweet. I picked it up and was like, wait, am I actually holding anything?
Yeah, wait until you feel the final version.
Oh boy.
They're even lighter. So.
We also got a very interesting rod up here with something that I don't know if anyone's ever seen anything like this.
It's we announced it at ICAST and this year, and it's got a lot of people's attention and curiosity. It's got a lot of hate. It's got a lot of love. People don't know how to feel or think about this one. So this is the KGB K-Rig. You know, I got this. This one has a funny story behind it. It was just kind of like, let's see if we can make something different, you know? And the Spro guys were in town. The head honcho for Spro was in town. And I just pulled this out of the tackle box on my tailgate. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he got excited. He said, we're doing that. And that's how this bait came to fruition.
So the head honcho was in town, and you had already done this DIY'd.
With resin ones. I took 3 of them, put them together, and I was like, hey, man, check this out.
Yeah.
Swim's cool. You know, Spro's Japanese owned, and or they're owned by Gamakatsu.
Right.
And so, yeah, Kazu, Japanese guy, was like, hey, what do you think? They, you know, I'm not going to, it sounds insensitive, but as a culture, the Japanese fishing culture, they love weird and wild and wonky stuff. So if me saying that the Japanese like wild stuff, that's not being insensitive to me, and it's the truth. And this is wild and wonky.
We all know that.
Yeah, he fell in love with it.
Dude, that thing is so cool.
Yeah, this has been another couple of years in the works for this one.
So this is 3 Chad Shads, 3 ABS Chad Shads, connected via, how are they connected?
So they've got, it's a wire harness that goes through where the hook hanger would be. And it's not exactly where, we made a lot of changes, but it's a wire harness coated in a heavy plastic. It's not ABS, it's a little bit softer than ABS to give it some kind of cushion. And then it loops down through a connecting screw. Or it's like a, I forget what they call it. They call it like a threaded rivet. And originally I wanted to be able to take these apart, and the factory won't let us do that because they won't warranty it and all that stuff. So they've actually red Loctite these together. So don't try, you're just going to strip it and break something. But it all becomes, now it's technically one bait.
Okay.
So it is all one bait. How tournament series and stuff are going to look at this, I don't know.
Gotcha.
But it is legally and technically one bait, just with some extra appendages and joints.
Yeah, so we've got 2 hooks. I mean, this is like a regular Chad Shad, and then we've got one here.
Yep, so it's still 3 hooks, just like a jerkbait.
Yeah.
A lot of jerkbaits have 3 hooks.
And so you've got it tied up top, but I noticed there's also a line tie here too.
Yep, different options. If you tie it to the top, it leans down and cranks down. It uses the head as a bill, and it hunts and dives. It feels like
that's cool.
It feels like you're using a big, deep diving crankbait. Huh. If you tie it to the middle, it doesn't dive and dig as hard, and you can work it more.
It's more like straight.
Yeah, more straight retrieve.
Okay.
2 totally different actions.
Very cool. So there's some tuning you can do DIY with what's already given to you.
Yeah, not necessarily tuning, just 2 different performances based on, you know, if you want to get this thing deeper, tie to the top, and it hunts. If you tie it to the middle, you're fishing it more like you would a traditional swim bait, but it's not a traditional swim bait. So, and it's been working.
Yeah, I've seen you throw it quite a few times now.
And have you seen it foul on the cast yet?
No, but I could imagine that is a shit show.
It's not a problem, though.
Really?
No, I fished this thing. So I kept track of it. That's one of the biggest comments is people are like, oh, I bet you that thing casts like
it. Yeah.
No, it cast awesome. I kept track of it, 40 hours of fishing this, and I foul casted twice out of 40 hours.
Wow. That you can't even say that about a lot of swim baits.
Right. 40 hours of casting this, and it wrapped like that twice.
Wow.
So, no, it cast actually really well. It is heavy, but in the world of swim baits, it really isn't that bad.
How heavy is that?
God, there's so many numbers now.
Over 5 ounces?
Yeah, it's around 6 ounces.
Okay. So this launched at ICAST.
Yep.
We talked about it earlier. It's not necessarily available yet.
Nope, it's coming.
It's coming, okay.
I don't know the exact date. They're either in a shipping container and almost here, or they're already here. Yeah. We're shooting before Christmas. I don't know exactly when, though.
Okay. And then we got one more bait that I actually want to tell a quick story about, because this gives you a good representation of who Kevin is, I think. I'm guessing. I'm sure maybe you've heard your own stories about Kevin, but from what I've learned from Kevin, he's a pretty damn good dude. The other day we were actually here. I didn't know Kevin was here. I was sitting in a back pocket. I think we already told this story, but I was catching him. Kevin pulls up, notices that it was me, and I catch one, and he ties this thing on. It's not this exact bait, but a professor.
Right.
And I tie it on immediately. First cast, boom, like a 3-pounder. Fourth cast, 5-pounder. It's like, I think it's gonna work.
It's a pretty special bait, and that's yeah, I mean, I try to help people out as much as I can. If I see somebody struggling, I don't know if you're struggling or not. I didn't even ask, but
But you had said that you gave those other guys baits before me.
You know, it's twofold. This is an amazing bait, and people are kind of, I guess the phrase to say is sleeping on it.
Yeah.
I think that phrase has been way overused, but this is an amazing bait, and I'm trying to kind of push it a little bit. Yeah. So part of my kindness is, pushing a product. But also the other guys, they were out there boat distance away, and I roped in it was close to 40 fish, and I think I caught them. I think I saw them catch 2, and it got to the point, and there were 3 of them in that boat. I was by myself, and I almost felt bad at that point. So I roll over to them, and I carry a bunch of these in my boat. Most of them that I have are blims or have a flaw, something where the customer, I didn't want it to go to a customer who's paying for it. Yeah. I have enough of those, and so I started this, a year or 2 ago, and if I see somebody struggling or a kid or something like that, just roll up, hand it to them. You're making their day. You're introducing them to your product.
You made my day, dude. That was awesome.
Well, and those guys went over and started catching fish, and it was like, all right, cool. Well, now they're a believer in me. They're a believer in the bait itself. It got them into big baits. Maybe they, I know they had a swim bait. It can kind of maybe change their trajectory of maybe not only their day, but it might change how they fish.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. It says a lot about you. Even if maybe this is something you just started, but that's such an awesome way to get people into it. And I think the big thing too, like we have been talking about, is you can buy that ABS bait. Mm-hmm. No knocking ABS baits, but they are less expensive because they're cheaper to make. There's not as much labor. There's not as much time put into each of them. Whereas something like this, I don't know the logistics of the hours behind a bait, but I can assume because it's made by hand, you've got an SOP for it that you've been creating time over time over time over time, that this thing is dialed.
Yeah.
And I could see it immediately with the first freaking cast.
This bait's pretty special. It's a multi-joint bait. It's one of the few multi-joint baits that we do right now because the trend has been so heavy towards glides.
Oh, gosh,
That's also why this is such a good bait, is because the trend is so heavy towards glides.
Yeah.
We're catching 5 to 6 year old fish is what we're shooting for. 7 or 8 year old fish would be even better, but glides have been really heavy for 6 to 8 years old. You know, they've been seeing glides since they were fry. And so bringing back multi-joints, is working. Smart. And I think it's going to be a bit of a cycle. Buka, he's been making multi-joints for years. That's been his strong point. And then he got into glides, and now I see it kind of going both ways. And this, on a lake that's heavily pressured by glides, busting in on a multi-joint, whether it's mine or one of Mike's, it doesn't matter. Multi-joint bait can do some really special stuff, and people are overlooking multi-joints right now because the hype of glide baiting.
I fell into that trap too. I bought my first resin bait and I caught the crap out of them on it. And then I just kind of slept on it. I've got multiple multi-joint baits that just sit in the boat.
Yeah.
But now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
I became a believer within about 45 seconds.
Right. Yeah. It literally was first cast. I had it. I had this one, and I had the one that I was fishing. I didn't want to give it up, so I pulled one out of the box, tied a real crappy knot, and tossed it over into you on the deck. And I think it's that first cast you got blown up on.
That was awesome.
Did a quick release, but
no, that was good.
Yeah, multi-joints there's something to be said about a good multi-joint, and I'll brag on this one a little bit. It does some cool stuff. You can still walk the dog with it and chop it. A lot of people like chopping our glide baits, and this one, I don't know of any other glide or multi-joint that you can chop the way that this one does. And that's part of, the joints are a little different than most multi-joints. It's got a little bit different shape to it. There's some stuff that allows it to do that, to chop, and how we tune them as well. And that's, if you still like chopping baits, I'll brag and do this little plug on this. The only plug I'm trying this whole time. It's a really special bait, and people are overlooking it. So I've been kind of handing them out here and there a little bit.
I appreciate you handing one out to me. Believe me,
made you a believer.
Fished. Yeah, that was fast. So Kevin, I really appreciate you jumping on this thing. This has been a really cool conversation. Like just getting to meet you in the first place, the crazy happenstance of how it worked. I'm a pretty firm believer in things are usually meant to be.
I've run into you about 6 times unannounced, unnoticed. I mean, we keep bumping into each other. We're going to see each other. It's hopefully we get some fish on camera for you guys.
Yeah, I think
at some point.
I think the problem is that I probably fish too much now.
Yeah,
that's probably why. But I got 2 questions for you. Is there anything coming next? We talked about K-Rig. The little guy's already out.
Yep.
Those F5 rods, those look awesome.
The reels are coming as well. We announced those at ICAST. So some of those reels that you felt are Spro KGB Elite 300 reels.
Oh, sick.
Dean Rojas and I partnered together to build the beefiest reels we could. You know, Dean Rojas, a frogging guy.
Yeah.
Heavy duty gear, right?
Yeah.
So we partnered together and he developed the 200 size and I did the 300 size. They mirror each other on what's the internals and everything.
Yeah.
So it was cool bringing another powerhouse fisherman. You know, he had his ideas and I had mine, and luckily there were some things that I forgot that he brought up, and there were some things that I forgot that he brought up, and we bounced off each other's ideas.
You did what?
Nothing. We didn't leave anything that we can think of. If it was just one person, there would have been some stuff missing. Right. So we built a beast of a reel, and those are coming out.
My hands on one of those. That's awesome.
There's going to be available any day now. I don't know exactly when, but they are coming really soon.
Okay. And anything else on the KGB specific side?
The new King.
Yep. Okay.
That would be the next new thing. I've also got a carp that we've been working on.
Ooh.
Some crank downs. There's a huge move for crank downs. I'm late to the game on the crank downs.
Sure.
So there's some crank downs. We're always bringing something new.
And how do we find you? Is it kgbswimbaits.com?
Yep, kgbswimbaits.com is the website. Okay. We upload baits and remove them as they sell out. So we keep a fresh inventory all the time. Our paint jobs, we have a few reoccurring paint jobs that we go back to, but most of the time we give the painters an idea of what we want and then let them run with it.
So for the most part, are most things going to be one of one?
Yeah, for the most part, or maybe not one of one.
Or batch of batch. Yeah.
Yeah, one of 50. Okay, so like cool. if you see a color that you like on there, that might be. We try to do 50 batches.
You better grab it.
Yeah, if it's a super hot seller and we get crazy demand for it, we'll bring it back. Threadfin has been a good one. Peyton's got some really good ones that we've been doing. David, each one of our painters has at least one that has super high demand, so we keep bringing those back.
And is there a specific day of the week, or is it like we mentioned, this is just like once you hit that number?
Once we get a batch done and they're available for the website, we put them on the website.
Okay,
so there's no holding them, there's no manipulation of, there's guys who play with the market so their bait sell out really fast.
Random question for you, because I've just started getting in tune with this. Are you getting hit by those... I don't know what you call them, like Ticketmaster has these people that will go in and buy all the baits and then resell. Are you getting hit by that?
No. We can, if we see something that's fishy, we'll first try to reach out to them and see what's going on. If they order 40 baits, we'll first see what's going on. Sometimes it might be gifts. It might be, we had one that was a college bass fishing team. They'd reached out to us multiple times. Each one of their anglers had reached out to us, and I'm sorry we get flooded by that. Yeah. We don't really even respond to those anymore because it's so prevalent. If you're in the fishing lure or fishing product industry, you're getting slammed by that. Yeah. So eventually he got tired of his kids getting ignored and bought a big order for all his kids. We had to call him and figure out, so this is legit. Cool. Yep. Let him place the order. But other than that, we're pretty stringent on not allowing bots or anything to buy our product and manipulate the market.
Okay, that's awesome.
It needs to be fair.
So we started off this entire conversation with a question. Mm-hmm. So you want to be a bait maker. If you had one recommendation to the guy that's listening to this right now and made it all the way to the end of us rambling, what's that one recommendation?
Be original. Be original.
I like that.
Don't be a builder in a box.
Okay.
Don't start your business. There's one that's floating around right now that's causing stink. Don't start your business copying other people's stuff. Be as original. And it's hard right now. I mean, that window of being original is getting narrower and narrower.
Yep.
But start from scratch and do your own thing. Be original. That's how you're going to be successful.
That's awesome. Appreciate it.
It's harder, but that's how you're going to be successful.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on here. This was an awesome conversation. It's been great to meet you and learn more about you and now get to fish together and fish one of your badass baits. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll continue to do that.
We're going to keep bumping into each other. Let's make the best of it and go try to catch some big ones and see if we can get some on camera now.
Man. And if y'all haven't tuned in, this is, I don't know what episode at this point. We're shooting this in early December. and hopefully we're about to go catch some fish. So tune into the other video of Kevin catching a giant.
There we go. All right.
See y'all next time.
See ya.